Hey there, it's Kylie here from MyLifestyleShow.tv. Welcome to this week's live interview. It's awesome to have you here tonight. I've got a fantastic guest that's all the way from Hawaii today. One thing I love about this business is I get to go global, which is awesome. So just a reminder for those guys who haven't been on the show before, this is a basically pure value-based live interview. The reason behind it is to inspire and motivate women entrepreneurs to get out there and create change and define their lifestyle businesses today so they can have more time freedom, more financial freedom, and do what they love. So today I'm really excited to have Ashley Welton here. As I said, she's based in Hawaii, soaking up the sun at the moment. And we're looking at adventure is a state of mind. So we're going to be looking at three key things, and that's how compartmentalizing work and life is keeping you stuck, why bringing the spirit of adventure and play into all you do is essential, sounds a bit naughty, to your success and how to do it, and 3 ways to create compelling creations by bringing more of you, who you are, into your messaging. Now, Ashley is an expert storyteller who uses her mastery words to encourage others to do more, love more, and live more, which I love that phrase. She's the founder of Miniskirt Ninja Media, which again is such a cool name. Who hails from Hawaii. She obviously breathes life into business, which is what I love, drawing on her uncanny abilities to that take risks. And it sounds like you lead quite a risky lifestyle. I've certainly done some challenges over the time. And it's nice to bring some fun into what we do. Obviously, creating lifestyle business is about, for me, especially lots of travel, time freedom, and kind of living on your own terms. I know it means something different to everyone. And that's why I love bringing different elements to what it means to create a lifestyle business. So welcome to Ashley. And I know one thing I want to say too, she's created an awesome live bonus for us. I'm so excited to hear about this because she only gave me a hint. She never shared it. And it's 44 secrets. So she's going to be sharing those. So I'm excited to find out what that's all about. So thank you so much for being here, Ashley. And if you want to share just a bit about your background and how you come about to where you're at now, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Hi, thank you so much for having me. Okay. So my story is a long and windy one, as I think a lot of people's are who find themselves as entrepreneurs, especially online entrepreneurs. And how far back should we go? Essentially, I was a graphic designer before I was a writer. And so I've been in the compelling people to feel a certain way industry for a long time, understanding how they feel, what makes them tick. I did that visually before I did it with words. But the whole reason that I got into writing was because I got fired from my last job and I was ecstatic, and I decided to just take off for South America for 3 months and tour around. But to stay, my mom was a little nervous, so I went by myself. But to stay in contact and to write the stories, I kept a blog, and the feedback was just unreal. Everybody was so excited about how I crafted these stories, and I realized I had this talent with words. And so when I came back to Hawaii, well, there's a couple other stops in there, unimportant. But I came back to Hawaii and I started to try and figure out, okay, well, how can I be the writer? Now I finally found that thing that I love. I finally found that creative passion, okay? And I know that this is what I want to do with my life. How can I do it? So I started pitching to magazines and just studying, blogging. So I was blogging as miniskirtninja.com 2 years before I even launched my business, but with no idea how to monetize it and no idea really what a copywriter was or anything like that. Anyway, I could not fit that puzzle together on how to combine that creative side and that financial side. And so I entered into real estate as an investor, and I was like, yes, I'm going to be in real estate to fund my writing habit. It makes me laugh because whenever you go into something for the money, it rarely works, unless you want to be miserable, which I've seen people do, but I don't. And that's not what we're here to be, especially not on this interview series, right? So while I was on this real estate journey, I had a colleague and I showed him some marketing material that I'd done for my business. And thank God for this, because I learned all about business, what it meant to run a business, what it meant to, actually run a business instead of be a freelancer. It's very different. And so I showed him my marketing material and he said, you should be a copywriter. You should write for us. And turns out they already had a copywriter and I didn't know what a copywriter was at the time. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this real estate thing. Don't feed me my dream. I'm very focused over here, Oh, so sweet. So it took me a few more months. That same man got me my first copywriting client. And I just soaked up everything I could possibly learn about copywriting and marketing and online business and just how to communicate with people, how to influence them in a positive way. And then I launched Miniskirt Ninja Media in 2013, a couple years ago. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a really awesome journey. It's expanded and evolved into not just copywriting, but right now I call myself a messaging mentor, and I really help people to hone that message, to find their value, to find the clarity so that they have the confidence to communicate what it is that they do, which I find is there's this 3-step progression that a lot of people miss. And a lot of it starts in that clarity and confidence piece. So that man who gave me my first job has been a retainer client for 2 years now. No, almost 2 years in October. So things do come full circle. He waited till I was in business for about a year until he called me up again. He goes, I've been watching you. I just want to make sure that they've got a multi-million-dollar business, So he's like, I just want to make sure that I was just waiting for you to get your chops. And then I knew. So it's been exciting.
Awesome. But that's it. People do watch on the sidelines sometimes, and you got to be aware of that. They watch your journey, don't they?
Oh, they absolutely do. Not only sometimes, but most of the time. I can't tell you how many times a client will come or somebody in a group program will come, and I always ask, well, how did you find me? Sometimes they don't know. But a lot of times it's, I saw you on an interview, or I saw you on a Facebook post, or, I've been reading your blog for 6 months. I've been stalking you on Instagram, people watch.
Yeah. They're doing it, and that's a really inspiring story as well. Kind of, everyone sort of thinks of overnight success stories, and I love that you were kind of fighting your calling. I think that's really valuable because, so many people do start businesses, and, you see it a lot as well where people come out of corporate jobs and they just kind of start something because that's what they know as well. They don't necessarily love what they're doing. They just know that that's what they know. So you see that quite often as well. Fighting your kind of passion is also just going into something because that's your immediate skill set. And I kind of fought that for a long time as well, whereas I didn't want to become a sales expert, which is what I'd done for 12 years. I was like, no, get me away from sales. So I didn't.
Sorry, it's almost better, that you say that people that come out of corporate or out of a job or something, if you can hang on and not get fired like I did. I mean, I'm completely unemployable, so I got fired. But if you don't, if you can, and you have that breathing room, because I wouldn't necessarily recommend the financially strapped route. It's very stressful, So there's nothing wrong with keeping that job while you find that passion, while you nurture that business that's actually going to nurture you back, I think that's important, and it's something that's not talked about a lot.
Yeah, I think that's really bad. I always recommend people start blogging, like you said, like you did a bit. I always say to people, look, if you don't know what you want to do, start blogging and just see where it takes you, and just start getting your message out there and see what sort of following you start to get. And because it's a good way to kind of explore a bit, I think, if you can just kind of share a bit about your journey or share your interests. And
I know that it's going to change. It's going to change and evolve. When I started, so this is interesting. I will say that, it'll change and evolve, but if you're really honest with yourself, you're going to have the same common threads, the same core values, no matter what it is you're doing. So when I started blogging as, on Miniskirt Ninja, it was all about, adventure and experience, and had nothing to do with messaging, but it was just about living a really good life. A lot of personal development stuff that I've been studying forever. And because Facebook Moments showed me a moment from 4 years ago. It was a blog post that I have posted, and I read it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm saying the same things that I said 4 years ago. It's just a different platform, and my writing's gotten better. But you have those core values, and I always talk about with my clients and things. They're like, oh, I'm so confused. I want to do this, and I want to grow my business, and I want to, I want to go in this direction, and this direction. They're going 12 different directions, and they can't figure out their message because they don't want to get trapped into one stream. And really, it's that your core values, your foundation, that doesn't change. Doesn't matter what sort of direction you're going in. You can expand and evolve and change directions and still have those core values are gonna keep with you. So in your messaging, as long as you keep those sort of fueling everything that you're writing, then it won't feel like you are completely severing who you were before to who you are now and confuse people if you want to change directions or expand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, and it's a nice way to look at it as well, because it is your underlying values, isn't it? That kind of, and I guess your underlying values and your personality and everything about you is what kind of formulates where you're, and it's like you said, just because you turn your hand at something slightly different doesn't mean that you're losing that, because that will always follow you through, won't it?
Absolutely. It always does. If people don't recognize it, they often don't see it. They often haven't looked at it that way. So they don't.
No,
they don't see it.
It's always much harder to see it in yourself, I think. It's always easier to have someone else see it in you. I always think it's always easier if someone gets it out of you more than sometimes you see it in yourself.
Well, that's why we have mentors, right?
Exactly. That is the power of a mentor, is, you can sit there in your own head. And I think, like you said, you see a lot of, and I see this all the time with women entrepreneurs, like I said, going hundreds of different directions. And it takes to someone literally 10 minutes to sit down with them. And once you've sat down with someone that knows what they're doing, then they go, all right, that fits, done. That's what I did on a call. I was like, where do I go from here? And it was like 10 minutes on a call with someone. I was like, done. It's created, it's formulated, it's done. And that is the power of mentors. So yeah, definitely, like you said, if you are looking at your message and wanting to do it, then we have an awesome mentor on the phone right at the moment, don't we? So let's look at
any questions. Well, you know what else is interesting too is, like, it doesn't matter how far along in your business you are or how successful you are. I was just dealing with this yesterday, and the day before, and probably some weeks before that, but going 100 different directions and not feeling focused, and therefore not feeling grounded and not feeling in the flow and pushing against everything, so just focus, just pick a couple things that you want to focus on. Just do those, get those oiled, and then expand.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I see that a lot with internet marketing, is that I always see this a lot with social media and things, and everyone's trying to do 50 different media platforms, and you're like, no, choose one method of marketing that works, focus on it, nail that first, get some results, stick with it, and then maybe look at something else, adding something else to it. You don't have to be an expert at 10 different platforms. You just need to basically master one or two, and off you go. And I see that a lot with social media.
Get really known at something, and get really well known as the expert at this thing, and have a steady stream of work and clients coming at you, and get that message dialed, because it really truly is the message that will call or repel the clients. It has very little to do with your pretty design, sorry designers, or how often you're showing up on social media, or how visible you are. If you do, you're on those 12 different platforms, or just the one, or if you do videos. It's not about the method of getting it out there. It's the content of what you're saying. So hone that one, get really good at it, get known for it, and then get known for something else. You know, that's a sustainable way. It's not a fast growth, but it's a sustainable growth. It's a growth that will continue with you, that will support you and allow and give you this foundation, you know, so that you can build whatever you want to build. At a certain point, you don't have to keep laying the foundational bricks. You know, they're already laid. And then you have that freedom to go and experiment in different directions and be that creative genius that wants to try 12 different things all at once, you know. Awesome. And even then you got to reel it in.
I was going to say, then you still got a notepad with ideas and just choose one or two. Yeah. yeah, definitely. Fantastic. So looking at your topic for the day, so looking at adventure as a state of mind. So let's look at the first one of how compartmentalizing work and life is keeping you stuck, because I love that. So how would you kind of, what do you want to share around that sort of topic area?
Okay, this is one of my favorite things to talk about right now. Because, and it came from my own personal realization, as most things do, right? But especially with lifestyle businesses or lifestyle entrepreneurs, people who really value their lifestyle as much as their business, what we tend to do is get really good at the life bit, that playing bit. So you're doing the self-care, you're taking care of yourself. For me, it's going surfing, playing in the ocean, taking days off, all that. And then you got your business self, which is going okay, but maybe you're kind of like white knuckling a little bit, or it's not as smooth. And what happens is you're completely compartmentalizing your life without realizing that play and work, it's all life. So you're really sort of cutting yourself off at the knees if you don't allow that joy to cross lines. You know, you don't bring that spirit of play and self-care into your business as you do in your life. You know, it's almost like we just cut ourselves off from these divine beings that we are when we're in our businesses, as opposed to playing through everything that we do. Makes sense?
Yeah, I think we see that a lot, especially as women entrepreneurs, and it's so important too, because we can't run, you know, businesses like on adrenaline 100% of the time either. We have to have play in between and relaxation, and you know, you have to re-energize yourself as well. I had a really good question that I think is really appropriate, kind of what you're saying there at the moment, because one of the girls emailed me and said, what's the next adventure that Ashley brings into her work, or some examples of others? So how have you kind of specifically brought adventure into your business? So how have you combined your life and business?
Well, I created something called the Adventure Experience. And it is it's an in-person experience, a 3-night 2-day in Hawaii, and I'm from here. I was born and raised here, so I take my clients on an adventure, something that I would do myself, that really breaks you open, that really gets you in the flow, that gets you in creativity, that steps you away from your normalcy, and just shifts your perspective, lets you loose a little bit while still integrating that business development part, because we're still talking about it, you know. So it's almost like remapping your muscle memory, so that while you're out enjoying yourself, you're also talking about business and brainstorming and have creative ideas. And then the next day we implement. You know, next day is business development. So that, to me, combines my total love of adventure and being outside and being in nature and Hawaii with what I'm really good at in my business, which is messaging and creativity and, you know, business development. So that's how that looked like as an offer. But also, I've not changed, but I've gotten a little bit looser about the way that I blog. I write every week, and instead of trying to sort of like manipulate and project what would be best received, I just started writing what felt best to me. And as it turns out, it's a happy coincidence. although not really, that they garner the best response. You know, the things that I write about that are most fun to me, that are most enjoyable, that are most motivating and inspiring to me are the ones that get the best results for my readers. So it's not just about taking breaks in between work, which I think is like the new old paradigm, the old new paradigm maybe, but it's bringing that sense of joy and play and fun and freedom into your work activities. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It's really interesting just to kind of get some examples of how, like, you've brought it into your programs, you've brought it into your everyday business. I think, like you said, I think so many of us compartmentalize that. We do, even if we're adding adventure and play to our businesses, it's still as a separate entity rather than as part of it. So I think you take it to another whole level, which is really interesting because it is all about the journey. You know, being an entrepreneur is all about the journey. So the more fun you can have and the more things you can do that are about what you love, you're going to be happier in your business. So it's going to be more sustainable. You're going to give back. And as to the writing thing, it's really interesting because I did an exercise when I launched my show with my mentor, and it was all about writing because I don't like writing. So I had a real issue about writing. But she just said exactly the same thing you've just said. It was like, once you start writing just from your heart around your message, around what you want to share for the day, that will actually get much more response when you write for a reason where you think you're writing for someone else. So, you know, that is really powerful. So if anyone can take that on board, if they're struggling with writing or, you know, because my post got so much better, I was writing so much better because I was stopped trying to please everyone. It wasn't writing for other people, I was writing for myself. And I get so much better feedback from even just my Facebook post. People go, wow, it's so cool to see you, you know, and it's just I get a much different interaction. So, yeah, that's a really powerful message. Anyone listening, got to take that on board. So, yeah, and people resonate with you as well because that's who you are. So they want to know who you are, don't they? You know, if they're your clients, yeah, they get to know you, they get to understand you more. It's much more authentic. I think that's the other cycle of, I guess I call it the cycle of sales, which is changing nowadays. It's not about any sort of push seller. It's about attracting people, and part of that is authenticity. By sharing your story and journey like that. So that's really powerful.
Yeah, you know, recently I've been thinking a lot about lead generation and funnels. I hate that word so much. So I've decided to change up the way that I feel about it and just change the terminology. Sometimes if you change the verbiage, it can change the way you feel about it, and then you're able to do it even if the action is very similar. It just, the way you feel about it's changed. So then you can do it and get it done, and it has effect. It's effective. So now it's like, how am I going to send love letters to the people who have decided to come and be in my life? You know, that's my response. That's my those are my autoresponders. That's my follow-up campaign. It's not a follow-up campaign. It's not a funnel. It's, you know, what kind of love letters am I going to send them? You know, how can I show them as much love as possible? And that makes it feel better for me. So you just got to figure out what makes it feel good for you. It doesn't matter. And, you know, it's interesting, the question that your woman that the woman asked, I couldn't be here, about how I incorporate adventure or things like that. Adventure is a state of mind, really is. Adventure is a state of mind where how can it look? I mean, if you think about adventure, what does that feel like for you? It feels like something new. It feels exciting. It feels unknown. It feels like a journey. It feels in the moment. It feels not like you're projecting to the end. You're just in it, you know? And yeah, you have maybe you have a plan, but you're in it. You're in the moment, and it's fun. And so really, adventure as a state of mind is a feeling. And it's what kind of feeling are you going to bring into all parts of your business? And if something doesn't feel right, if you don't like the word funnel, don't use it. You know, like, man, I'm like path to joy. I don't know. Or the adventure journey. I'm not sure what I'm going to replace funnel with, but something that feels better. You know, even with my message mentoring clients, which is it's virtual. We're not going on adventures together, but the feeling is the same. It's an adventure of the mind and the spirit, and what's in there that we can unleash on the world that's going to make it better. You know, it's going to make you better, and therefore everyone else around you. So I think it's just, I look at everything that way, through that lens.
I love that. It's really powerful. I haven't sort of thought about that process, but it is really powerful. It's like people, if they hate sales, don't think about it as selling. It's like you said, put some other sort of, it's about helping them, sharing, like, what is it about that? You can change the language around it. I really like that's really powerful, especially to get over, like you said, a block if you're procrastinating on something or stuck on something because it doesn't resonate with your core values. Because, yeah, there are processes and practicalities and things that you may not, feel comfortable with. So I hadn't even thought about just changing the names and words around, just to give it a different feeling, because it invokes a different feeling in you, isn't it? Yeah, very powerful. I'm going to play with that one. I like that. It's good. So why is it essential? Why is it essential bringing the spirit of adventure play into all you do?
Because it changes the way you feel about all you do. And the way you feel about all you do is the result you'll get from it. But it's not the result that we're going after, right? It's the feeling. Because once you get to that result, you're going after a result because of the feeling that you think it's going to give you. So when you infuse that feeling of joy and adventure and excitement and unknown into everything that you do, then that feeling comes with you while you're on your way to that result, because the result only lasts a moment. When you get there, it's just a moment. Yeah.
It's I always think about it, it's like the Olympians, isn't it? When they win gold, it's there, it's done, they've achieved it. But actually, it's all the journey and the feeling of achievement that they've gone all the way through. Otherwise, they wouldn't get to the success level they get to.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there are no challenges or there's no, you know, when you're climbing Kilimanjaro, you're sweating. You know, there's a moment there that you're like, God damn it, why did I do this? This is absolutely insanity. What am I doing? And that's okay. That's part of life. That's that piece. It's like, well, I'm doing this because, and then you remind yourself why. Why don't you keep going? Or if it's absolutely excruciating, then you stop and turn around and climb a different mountain. You know, there's
someone to do it for you. Outsource. Bye. I don't want to do that bit.
Totally.
But true. Find a different way. Find a different method. Mm.
But when you look at it, when you look at it as, I don't know, it goes back to that. And this is something that I think about and I talk about and I incorporate in my life, but it's not something that I really hear people talk about. So it's kind of new to me, but really living, and I talk about it a lot, living an integral life where you're the same, no matter what you're doing. You know, you're the same person. You're the same being, whether you're playing in the waves or scuba diving or climbing a mountain or writing a newsletter or doing an interview or, serving a client. You're the same. And there's so much power in that. It's really exhausting to flip switches all the time.
Yep. Which a lot of us had to do in business and stuff. I used to find I had to do that in corporate all the time. I was like, I hated it, because it was like, this is just so not me. And so it was just a battle every day. It's like you have to put this face on and, it's awful. Yeah.
You know what's really interesting? I don't know if we have any men on the line here, but as we know, men and women do business differently. And I was speaking with a friend of mine who runs an adventure tour company. And we were talking about an experience. And the way he shifted when he started talking about business and was like, well, I don't know if this is business or personal. And I'm like, it's both. It's both. Why is it not both? We're friends and it's business and it's fun. Why is it not all of it? Why have you shifted into a totally different person right now, you know? And I just had this realization. I was like, wow, we just approach it differently. Because while I do take my business very seriously, and I do take the, you know, the investment and the that my clients make in me and in, well, not in me, in them through me, I take that very seriously. I'm not about to go and flip a switch and be like, you know, serious Ashley or stiff or something. It doesn't, I feel that that diminishes my power and my authenticity. But you see men do it all the time.
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of us are moving away from that. I see more and more women entrepreneurs stepping into their natural authenticity now than what they used to as well. I think, I especially think coming from a corporate background, I see a lot of my corporate friends like that. And they're just this robots at work, and then they come out and they're just different women. And you're like, why can't you bring some of that into work? I'm sure they'll love you even more, you know? And that you forget to be that female kind of energy as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I see it happen even with entrepreneurs, or small business owners, or people who are solopreneurs. I see them do the same thing, and that was one of the main reasons behind the adventure experience. Creating that is that whoa, you have this incredible power, this incredible creativity, and it stems from your ability to enjoy your life. And if you need to be able to tap into that, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, very, very powerful. And let's get, what about 3 ways to create compelling creations by bringing more of who you are into your messaging?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I had something, and as we've been talking, something else came up, so we have more than 3. But the first would be really breaking away and giving yourself a moment to connect and get in alignment with who you really are. You know, a lot of times what happens is you are this person over here and this person over here and this person over here, and so you're fractured. And in order to have a really clear, strong message and create something that is really compelling, you have to be a united front. You know, you can't feel fractured. You have to be integral. So that would be the first thing I would say to do. And then also your loves, like what do you love? And I've done this a lot using what I love and what inspires me as a background, as a backdrop, as a sort of canvas for my marketing. And I don't mean the bright and shiny bit. You see, or I see this a lot, especially in the coaching world. You know, you've seen the pictures, you know, on a bench in Paris, or, you know, a laptop in a cafe, or, you know, just they're in like Louboutins and lipstick. And if that's your life, cool. And I know that you're portraying a picture of what's possible. Also cool. But you got to bring in some real, you know, because it's just, it does not connect. It stirs a desire, and it kind of leaves me feeling, oh, I don't feel that great about myself, even if I could do that, you know? So I would say identify your loves, bring them into your marketing, but in a really authentic way. You know, if you are speaking with children or reading to children about a book, and you have a picture of it, and that's one of your loves, it's something you do, you volunteer, and you talk about how, and maybe you're a life coach or something, and you talk about how all of our patterns start as children, and I'm making this up right now, you know, our patterning starts as children, and it's really important to me to contribute in that way or something, you know? So you're giving a taste of who you are and sharing your message at the same time in a really, really authentic way. Truly authentic, not just visually authentic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of fake marketing and internet marketing, because obviously my background's internet marketing, and you see sometimes like the fake cars, the fake houses, and you're like, come on, guys, we know you're not living there. Like, it's really interesting to see. They feel like they have to portray that image, and actually, like you said, most people don't want that. They want to resonate with you. They want, yes, there's obviously a portrayal of where hopefully you can help them go. It's like getting them to imagine if they're getting out of their pains or problems or whatever you're solving for them, that they can get out of that. But yeah, there's got to be a bit of a reality and a realness into it. Otherwise, it just comes across fake. And I think more and more people are seeing through it a lot as well. I think definitely.
Well, I think why my marketing has worked so well, because I've done a lot of, I use a lot of my pictures of Hawaii, pictures of me surfing. I think it works really well because it's true. It's what I do on a daily basis. You know, it's real.
So how do you juggle that then? If, for example, if you're in the situation we were talking about earlier, where you're still at work, but you're obviously, you know, you're transitioning out of work, because I know a few people that have struggled with that, where they've had to keep their kind of one message through what they're doing separate to their message and their corporate look at work. You know, especially on some of the social media platforms like LinkedIn and things like that, because they were using it for work. And yet they're sitting talking about wanting to escape, either whether it's wanting to escape the 9 to 5 or, you know, how do you kind of sometimes transition into getting people, I guess, to believe that that's what you can help them with, even if you're not quite there yet, if you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There is a bridge there, you know, and it's kind of a fine line. But you got to kind of harness your own emotions around it. Instead of being like, you know, rallying against the 9 to 5 and be like, oh, you know, burn the 9 to 5, you can talk about how, and if you're, I don't know, we teach what we know, right? So if you haven't left your 9 to 5 and if you haven't left your 9 to 5 and created a business that is supporting you, then it doesn't really make sense for you to teach other people to leave their 9 to 5 and create a business that supports them if you haven't done it first. But you can teach them what you know. You know, you can teach them how to transition. You can teach them how to be happier at their jobs while they're working on this other thing. You can teach them how to find their passion while they're still earning money at their job. You know, you can teach them what you already know. That's where people get in trouble. They're like, well, I'm a business coach, and I don't have a business, but I'm going to coach other people on how to build a business. Then you get into trouble there. You know, you have to have some experience in order to teach others. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was trying to, in my head, to sort of think about how you would transition with that message. So that's a really nice way of transitioning the message across. If that's where your ultimate vision is, but you're not quite there yet, then like you said, teach the steps as you go along to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like you have to be years ahead. You just have to be like a couple steps ahead to teach it, you know? And if you're just a couple steps ahead, you might even be more qualified to teach it than somebody who's eons ahead, because you just went through it, you know? It's like real fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to, there's lots about this expert kind of guru status out there, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, you don't have to be an expert that's done it for 50 years. You know, it's like you said, you just have to be that one step ahead of someone else that's about to go through it or is just getting started.
Yeah, you just gotta, again, it comes down to your core values. What are your core values? What's your, you know, what's your big vision? Sure, but don't get caught up in your big vision if you're not there yet. Don't let that beat you down if you're not there yet. Come, let that big vision fuel where you're at now, and then figure out a way to help people from where you're at.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I know a girl that did that because she wanted ideally to help about lifestyle businesses, and this is not me, but she was the same, and she didn't feel that she was there yet. So what she did was looked at the stages that she'd gone through, and like first one was Facebook marketing. She was really good at Facebook marketing, so she got known as the Facebook marketing expert. And then the next step was creating some products and programs, and then she did that next. And by then she'd create a complete, a lifestyle business where it was purely online. So
Yeah.
then she was ready to teach it. So it took her about a 6 to 12-month transition to get to where her ultimate vision was, what she really believed in. So it was quite a nice transition through.
If you think about it, 6 to 12 months is like a drop in the ever-loving bucket. It's like nothing. That is fast. We just think it should happen in like a month.
Yeah.
You know?
We all want that instant gratification, like overnight. Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, a year is nothing. 2 years is nothing. 3 years is nothing. It's not a lot of time. But
yeah, and it goes quick.
You got to make sure that you're loving it on the way. You know, you have to find that. You have to find that joy on that path of growth.
Yeah, it's that bringing the balance in, isn't it? It's having fun along the way so that you enjoy when you get there as well. So what about in relation to kind of, sorry.
Oh, it's the only way, I was just going to say, it's the only way your message will land too while you're growing. If you want to grow and you want it to, and you truly want to grow, you have to enjoy it. You must enjoy it along the way in order for your message to land with people and for them to come along with you.
Awesome. And what about in relation to kind of using your story? Because obviously you talk about creating, obviously kind of combining, I guess, your work, your life, and how powerful is it then to use your story along the way, and where would you recommend using your story? How do you kind of bring that in?
That's a good thing.
Oh, there you go. Last.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Is your story. So awesome. We're on the same page. I say use your story with purpose. When you tell personal stories, it's not just about sharing a personal story. It's sharing a personal story in the hope that it aids somebody else in what they're struggling with. So it is in support of your purpose and your message and somebody else's struggle. So it's always, when you share a story, it's in service of others. Otherwise, it's a diary entry. You know, and that's people want to get something from everything they read or listen to. You know, they're always in it for them. We all are. Nothing wrong with that. So when you're sharing your story, I always say just make sure you know what the purpose is. It will make your writing clearer. It will make you more concise. It'll keep you from wandering through pointless details and rambling on and losing attention and focus. If you know why you're telling the story that you're telling, what the purpose is.
So if there's some sort of learning or something they get out of it. And so it's always keeping in the mind of your audience, isn't it? What's in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what do you do if you're sharing an experience? So obviously you've been out, you're sharing an experience. How would you combine that with what you're doing, besides the fact that you tell people to enjoy their journey? So that would be quite easy for you to incorporate, wouldn't it?
What do you mean? Sorry. Ask again.
So I'm just thinking about using experiences, like using events maybe, or, you know, using meeting other people, chatting with other people. How would you use that then through your story? Is it like then to share an experience but for a reason, or?
Well, okay, so I am in constant reflection. So the first way to really use your story powerfully is to always be pulling out your life lessons from it. So you're always in reflection. You're always looking at, okay, what did I learn from that? What did I get from that? You know, and that's the only way that you can actually relate it to someone else. So recently, I just posted a blog. You know, Dr. Wayne Dyer died, or transitioned, and I wrote a blog about it because I was feeling about it, and I wrote about it, and it was a combination of my experience with him, you know, when I was introduced to him, the impact he had on my life, and the questions that arose for me. Now, the questions that arose for me in his passing, I knew would be universal for my readers. So that's why I asked them. It's not just about, oh, these were my questions, but these are also your questions, you know, because I know my audience that well. And then there's always a prompt to, we're asking these questions, but then what is the learning from it? You know, what's the takeaway? So that's how I use life events to tell stories and communicate with my people with a purpose. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah, that's really powerful. And obviously you ticked something in there when you said understanding your audience the best, because that's obviously really crucial to getting your marketing message right, isn't it? It's understanding your audience.
Yeah, and it's really not rocket science. My audience is really a lot like me. That's the beauty of creating your own community. They're attracted to you because they're like you, or they want to be like you. So it's not, you understand yourself and you are yourself, then you put yourself out there truly, then you understand your audience.
That's really powerful. So many people fight that. I used to fight that. I remember when I was first looking at who my target market was and who my audience was, and I was like, no, it's not that sort of person. It's like, in the end, of course it is, because it is you. It's like, in the end, you give in and you go, actually, no, that's who resonates with me, because that's what I'm like and that's what I've done. And yeah. Very, very powerful. So if someone wants to get sort of fine tuning their story or their message, what's 1 or 2 quick steps they can take to get started?
Which part of their story or their message? Their core message, maybe?
Sorry?
Their core message, maybe?
Yeah. So finding out, maybe like you said, we were talking about some of our core values and things like that. How would you dig a bit deeper maybe to get to understand yourself a bit more?
Yeah. Well, ask yourself, what are your core values? Reflect. Say, what are the common threads of me and my life and my pursuits and the things that I've done and my business? What are my core values? What are my 5 core values? It's a question I ask every oncoming client. In the questionnaire, that's one of the questions. What are your 5 core values? How do you want people to view you? What feeling, and I don't mean view you, but I mean, what feeling do you want people to have when they interact with you?
Oh, I like that. That's good. That's really powerful.
Yeah, and what's in it for them? Why are they there? What is the true benefit? What is the true benefit? What's possible? So those 3 things will give you a whole lot of jumping off point. Yeah,
that's really, really powerful. Yeah, it's just interesting to get started if you're not aware of it, I guess. If you haven't done any work around your message and understanding yourself like that, that's really powerful in relation to just getting started and starting to think about it.
The same thing goes for small businesses too, not necessarily just solopreneurs. It's just a different entity, it's the values of the business, it's the values of the company, but it's the same.
I was just trying to see if there's any questions underneath. My site's crashed. Sorry, I was just trying to see if there's any questions. Other than that, that was one someone texted me before. So I was just trying to read any other questions. If anyone else has got any questions, if they can't post below the video, just post in the Facebook event or on my page, which they all should know, with my Lifestyle Show page, because it's just crashed. I can't see if there's any other questions underneath. Fantastic. That's just awesome. I'm absorbing this one today. Normally I'm really talkative and like I think you've caught me in a interesting kind of flow. I feel like I'm thinking more this time and not really kind of switched on as much. I'm listening, absorbing what you're saying. It's really interesting listening to your play on words and how you work, because it's one thing I'm working on a lot. So it's really fascinating to see how you think. So in relation to kind of your lifestyle business yourself, share something about what you love about your lifestyle business and kind of maybe one thing we might see from you in the future. What would you like to see added to your lifestyle business maybe in the future as well?
Added like as far as an offer, or added to my life?
Yeah, or it's just something. What are we going to see? What's something we're going to see from Ashley in the next year or 2?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to see the adventure experience. That it's the adventureexperience.us or the adventureexperience.us, as I like to call it, and that's private or semi-private, and that's one of that's a heart project, because I know even just having this experience with you where you're listening and you're taking it in, I know that this is an area that needs some attention. You know, this area of really integrating this feeling of joy and adventure and play into your business, into your whole life, not just part of your life. You know, so the adventure experience is a bit. You should check out the site because it's just really beautiful page. You see some pretty photos.
Some of the pictures beforehand. I was that's hence the jealousy of when I said I got on the phone. I was very jealous because I was looking at all the pictures going, oh, diving and swimming. I've, you know, need to get back in that environment, definitely.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing about your lifestyle business?
Huh?
What's the best thing about your lifestyle business now?
Well, it's double-edged, right? This is a double, and right now, right this second, I think it's the best thing. But the fact that it's very apparent whether or not I'm in the flow of life, whether or not I am in alignment, because in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, a lot of people can cover that up. They don't know what it feels like, and because of the lifestyle I've created, I'm very aware of what it feels like when I'm in the flow and when I'm not, and it's quick. So, and I know that I'm most powerful and I can serve best when I am in the flow and in that alignment. So I think that's the best part about my lifestyle business, is that immediate feedback.
Interesting. You definitely live a very, it's interesting, you feel like you live a very calming kind of in touch life. I feel like I'm very practical and business minded, so it's really interesting talking to you, because it's like everything I probably should be doing. So it's really interesting just kind of absorbing how you live, and the relaxed feeling you come across with your business is really fascinating. It does all seem to flow together. I mean, obviously I know you get days, and everyone has days and moments and challenges, that's different, but
oh yeah,
you can feel you're very in tune. Yeah, you're very in tune with what you're doing.
I know when I'm not in the flow too. That definitely happens. And you know what? There was a time when I was very well, I've never been like totally business minded, because that's just, I'm really more creative. But there was a time when there was a lot of pushing, and there was a lot of structure, and there was a lot of like, oh, I got to do this, and yeah, it just doesn't work as well. It really just doesn't work as well. And for me, and I think when you get down to it, for a lot of people, but it takes time, it takes practice to cultivate, you know, that trust that if you are in the flow, that things will actually come through you instead of looking outside to bring them in.
Fantastic. So if you're not in flow, what's some of the ways you can start to think about getting into flow? What experience have you had with that? Have you done like courses
yesterday.
Or what
yesterday.
have you done?
I was not in the flow yesterday. So I went surfing.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you just don't fight it, I guess. You just live.
Well, that's the whole reason you're not in the flow, is because you're fighting shit. Like, that's why you're not in the flow, is because you're pushing against everything. So if you just let go and go do that thing that makes you feel good, then you can start to just go with it. And then you start to notice, oh, what's the next best idea? What's the next best idea? What would make me feel, what would be fun right now? That's a question I ask myself a lot. What would be fun right now?
Awesome. Fantastic. I'm just like, I want to go and swap lives at the moment. Sitting here feeling like I'm pushing way uphill.
Yeah, and you can do it no matter where you are. I mean, I know you're in London, and you can still cultivate that peace. You know, it's harder in a city. I will say it is difficult in a city, but it's certainly not impossible. There's a lot of really amazing stuff that happens in a city that doesn't happen here. You know, You have museums and art and plays and food and stuff that we don't have, you know, and you have nature. So you can find it. You just have to make it a priority.
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's allowing yourself that time out. And I think that's where a lot of people don't in their business. They don't allow time out for creativity or time out to just kind of.
You can't look at it as time out, though. It's not time out. It's not time away. It's not separate. It's just differently focused, you know? And I think that's, yeah, I think that's part of why people are like, oh, I gotta have some time out. And then they feel guilty about it. And then it doesn't do any good because they feel guilty about it. You know, it's just time. It's just different focus time. Because, oh, my friend has this quote. Oh, I forget. Hang on, I gotta go find it for you because it's so good.
I love about live shows. If anyone has any last questions, please do ask. I'm hoping I've covered all the questions that have come through. Yes, share us the quote.
Yes, her quote is self-care first, then everything becomes an inspired action. And self-care is really a feeling, right? Self-care is, a lot of times we think self-care is an action. You know, I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to drink a green smoothie, you know, whatever. A lot of times we think it's action, but it's not. It's a feeling. Sometimes self-care is just stopping to breathe.
I'm stopping to breathe. That's powerful. I'm going to make that my quote of the week, and I'm going to put that up on my computer. So every time I sort of, start to feel like I'm pushing it, it's like, no, stop, breathe. Interesting. So, and no time outs. I'm going to have to change my language now. You've got me thinking about my language every 5 seconds. So it's not time out. It's a change of focus. I like that.
Yeah. It's a shift in focus. You even look lighter now.
Oh, thank you. There you go. I'm going to play with that all week. You know that, don't you? You're going to challenge me now. It's like I'm going to think every time I go to say something, I'm going to be like, oh no, that's compartmentalizing. That's making it flow. How can I have more fun? Fantastic, awesome. I think this is probably the most inspiringly different interview that I've had. I think I've had a lot of practical interviews on lately, so it's really good to kind of share some inspiration around kind of just, it is like you said, just thinking and kind of how we interact on a daily basis with our businesses, and like you said, bringing it all together. So I'm going to have to, it's not business, it's just life, and I'm doing different things at different times. So that's going to be my main focus now, is like, looking at combining it. How can I combine it more?
Yeah, of course there are practicalities. I do tech stuff and I have lists, and of course there are practicalities. It's just, and there's structure and there's processes. You know, we have that in my business for sure. If I didn't have that, it would be a disaster, because I remember when I didn't have it, and it was. So it's not that they're not there. It's just they're not the focus. They're in support. They're there to support you, right?
I'm going to leave it on that note. That's absolutely perfect. We've hit an hour. I can't see any other questions that have come up, so I'm hoping we've answered all the questions. I know I've answered the ones that were text to me, so we should be okay. So if anyone doesn't have any other questions, please do. Do you want to share kind of how they can connect with you? We haven't kind of shared. Obviously, they need to check out your website, your experience website, which I'll put a link below the video so they can go and check that page out, because they just need to. Yes. But is there any other way they connect with you, or what are you kind of working on at the moment that you want to share?
Yeah, I would say, and this is just from me, if you are having things around struggles or blocks around your messaging and around really just aligning with your message and getting out there and having people really come back at you and give you the feedback that you're looking for in clients and things like that. If that's a struggle and you're feeling that there is a misalignment there, email me at ashley@ashleywelton.com, and we can set up a time to talk.
Perfect. Fantastic. And in relation to the bonus, would that be on a separate link, or how do they get their bonus?
I believe I sent you the link. We sent you the link.
You did send it to me, didn't you? I thought you might have done. Cool, that's fine. It'll go below this video. I don't have it to hand, but I'll make sure it goes below the video, and it will go out with the email for the replay link as well. So anyone that's registered that couldn't make it, but I know they're listening because they're watching the replay tonight, then they'll make sure they get the bonus as well.
Yeah, cool. So the bonus is, it's something that it's for sale on my website. I mean, you can go buy it if you want to, or you can use this link and get it for free. It is, it's 44 secrets to writing copy that shines and makes the bucks for your biz. And it's really just insights on, there's practical ones on how to actually write better, and there's more theoretical ones that teach you about how to talk to your audience and things like that. It's really a awesome little ebook. I have a client who downloaded it, and she told me, she goes, "Ashley, how do you know this stuff? I just, I'm working on my book, and I wrote a chapter, and then I read your book, and then I went back and rewrote the whole thing." So that might happen. Warning, you might rewrite some stuff. I hope you do.
I'm in the middle of writing sales copy, so I think I should probably be reading your book first.
Oh, yeah, and if you're doing a sales page, you should really check out the Ultimate Guide. That thing is, cool. Yeah, that's an amazing, amazing resource. That's under the shop on my site, ashleywelton.com.
Fantastic, lovely. Well, I'll make sure they get connection links and everything like that, because I'll get it with the video, and it's also below this video as soon as this goes live. So thank you so much for your time, and just for your inspiration. I think you've brought a different element to kind of my show this week, and I really value that. Looking at kind of, I think for me the best part is combining life, because like you said, so many of us do keep ourselves in separate boxes, and I see it all the time. Like, I'm not only myself, obviously I've been doing it, but talking to people, and they seem to be in that flow all the time. So it's a new way of thinking, and I really like it. I think it's great. So it's like bringing more fun in and bringing more into what you do on a daily basis. I think it's really powerful.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you. Cool. So, guys, we will see you next week. If anyone has any questions or we've missed anything, just please drop me a message as normal. And we look forward to seeing you. I think it's next Monday night this time. So we'll see you then. And obviously, we've got some Facebook training in between, which I've just released today. So I've let a guy in. Oh, no, I've let a guy into my show. So far, I've had all women speakers, but I've let a guy in because he's going to do some really cool Facebook training for us. So that's on Saturday, guys. So hopefully you should have seen that message. If not, let me know, and I'll make sure you get the link for that. And then if not, we'll see you Monday live again next week. Thanks very much for joining me from Hawaii, Ashley, and we will connect again very shortly. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.